In the middle of rising tension with Iran, a sharp political confrontation is unfolding inside the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, this time the battlefield, it's not in the Middle East but in American politics. Zohran Mamdani, he has openly criticized Mr. Trump over the reported cost of the military operation that are linked to Iran conflict, claiming that the US is spending nearly $500 million every single day. This figure, whether exact or estimated, it has sparked a wider debate about how government's money it is being used during the times of war. Here, Mamdani's argument, it was direct, it was emotionally powerful. He says that such massive spending on military operations, that raises serious question about national priority. According to him, the same money could instead be used to improve the daily life for the American citizens, right? Funding public education, increasing teachers' salary, building affordable housing, in fact, upgrading infrastructure and strengthening healthcare systems. Well, by presenting this contrast, he has kind of turned a foreign policy issue into a domestic economic debate, making it more relatable for the ordinary Americans. Perfect strategy. But yes, the criticism comes at a time when many people in the United States, they are already dealing with financial pressure. Now that means rising housing costs, student debt, healthcare expenses, inflation, everything has made economic concern a central issue for the voters. Now imagine in this environment, the idea that billions of dollars are being spent overseas each year, each week, each day, it has intensified frustration among certain sections of public. Mr. Mamdani's remarked that tap into this sentiment, kind of suggesting that government spending, it should focus more on internal developments rather than the external conflict now. However, let's flip the script, ladies and gentlemen. Supporters of the current policy, they argue that military spending, it is not optional, it's necessary. They believe that maintaining a strong global presence and responding to threats, that's very important for national security. According to this view, conflicts involving Iran and the broader region cannot be ignored, as they have direct and indirect consequences for the global stability, energy market, and the US strategic interest. From this perspective, defense spending, it is seen as an investment in long-term security rather than diversion of resources here. And this difference in opinion, it highlights a deeper divide in American politics. On one hand, there are those who prioritize the international engagement and military readiness, while on the other hand, there are voices calling for stronger focus on domestic welfare and economic justice. Here, Mamdani's statement, it has amplified this particular divide by framing the issue in clear financial terms, forcing people to think about what $500 billion a day it could achieve if spent differently. The timing of this debate, it is also significant. With tensions involving Iran continuing to evolve, any escalation could lead to even higher military costs here. And this raises concern about how sustainable such spending is over time and whether it could impact other areas of the federal budget or not. Additionally, political leaders are aware that public opinion on war spending, it can influence the future elections, making this not just a policy issue but also strategic political topic. It's very important to note that estimates of the daily military spending, it can vary depending on what is included, such as operational costs, logistics, deployment, long-term commitment. Well, nevertheless, even approximate figures in the hundreds of millions, it highlights the scale of modern military operation and the financial burden that they carry. So overall, Mr. Mamdani's remarks, they have brought renewed attention to the cost of war and choices governments make about allocating the resources. Well, the debate is no longer limited to foreign policy experts. It is now part of a broader public discussion about priorities, about accountability, and about the balance between global responsibility and domestic needs.